All right, let's go ahead to our next story, guys. I have a new article series out right now. As you're listening to this, it should be live, but it's not live as I'm recording. It's called the Technocratic Trump Administration. So far it's 3 parts. This latest part is just being published today. I've done 2 parts already. One is about Trump and the public-private partnerships and his connection with the big technocrats, meeting with them at the White House. The second one was focused on the consolidation and pressuring of the media, whether we're talking about what's been going on at the Pentagon or the purchasing of TikTok. And that's where this one picks up. It's called The Zionist Infiltration Expands. In the first 11 months of his second term as president of the United States, Donald Trump has left no doubt that he is committed to a Make Israel Great Again agenda. And I'm not going to read you the entire article here. I just want to give you some of the highlights. I really do hope that you will actually read it because I put a lot of effort into these articles. And the first part is the Ellisons and the Zionist takeover of TikTok. In part 2 of this article, I discussed how Trump ally Larry Ellison, who is, of course, the CEO of Oracle and the second richest person in the world, he kind of goes back and forth with Elon Musk, and how him, along with Silver Lake and Andreessen Horowitz, are part of a sort of cabal who are preparing to purchase TikTok as part of Trump's efforts to get TikTok under U.S. control. So according to the Wall Street Journal, if this deal goes through, the new company will be formed to run TikTok, and the U.S. will have 80% stake in the company, and the company will be dominated by a, quote, American-dominated board, including 1 member of the U.S. government. And so Larry Ellison is a big part of this. He's part of just this takeover of TikTok that we're witnessing. So that's kind of where I picked up on this, but it goes even deeper than this, because to understand the full implications of this deal, you need to understand that prominent politicians and conservative pundits previously warned that TikTok was not only spreading propaganda to millions of Americans using the app, but they specifically warned that it was damaging Israel's image in the post-October 7th, 2020 world. So, for example, you have the head executive of pro-Zionist Anti-Defamation League, who was heard on leaked audio complaining that there was a, quote, major TikTok problem. And he said that the opposition to Israel wasn't about left or right, but it was a sign of a generational shift as Gen Z turns against the policies of Israel. So this big Zionist is basically acknowledging that the Gen Z movement, Gen Z people in general, are turning against Israel. And I think that's kind of become very clear to most of us. It's only older folks, older conservatives pretty much, who are still diehard Zionists. Then you also have Craig Mockeber, who's the former director of the New York office of the UN High Commission on Human Rights. And he said that attempts to ban TikTok were an obvious effort to control the narrative around Israel. He said, quote, they are trying to use government power to force TikTok to be taken over by pro-Israel ownership to silence criticism of genocide and apartheid. This was in March 15, 2024. And another vocal critic of TikTok is Senator Marco Rubio, who has called for banning the app to stop spreading foreign propaganda. He told NBC News, quote, for some time I have been warning that communist China is capable of using TikTok's algorithm to manipulate and influence Americans. We've seen TikTok used to downplay the Uyghur genocide, the status of Taiwan, and now Hamas terrorism. And interestingly, you tie this all together, DropSite News, who's a great site that I encourage you to follow, they recently reported that Larry Ellison, head of Oracle, who's part of this attempted purchase of TikTok, was working with a former Israeli ambassador to the UN. His name is Ron Prosor. And in 2015, they were apparently emailing about Marco Rubio when Marco Rubio was considering running for president. And in 2015, on April 30th, 2015, this former UN ambassador for Israel sent a message to Larry Ellison, gave his phone number, thanked him for hanging out the evening before, and said, quote, how was the conversation with Marco Rubio? Did he pass your scrutiny? Did you have a chance to talk about Israel? I would love to chat. And a few hours later, Ellison responded in the affirmative saying, hi, Ron, great meeting with Marco Rubio. I set him up to meet with Tony Blair, adding, quote, Marco will be a great friend for Israel. So it's just kind of interesting that Marco Rubio is out here advocating for the purchase and the takeover of Israel because he says it's become anti-Israel. I mean, the purchase of TikTok because he says it's become anti-Israel. And at the same time, as far back as 2015, he was being vetted by Larry Ellison for his allegiances to Israel. And they mention Tony Blair I set him up to meet with Tony Blair. Of course, Tony Blair is the former Prime Minister of the UK, who's also played an integral role in the promoting the interest of Israel. We get to that in a moment. Now, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he made it clear that he believes TikTok is a powerful tool for combating anti-Zionist sentiment. Just a couple of months ago in September, Netanyahu was meeting with a group of social media influencers in New York, and he said, quote, "Weapons change over time. The most important ones are on social media." And then he asked the group, what was the most important purchase at the time? And he said, TikTok. And so he clearly understands the value and the need to get TikTok to influence young minds. And of course, Larry Ellison himself, he is no stranger to supporting Israel. There's a 2014 interview which has been recently circulating on social media. You guys probably saw it. The interview was recorded by an Israel Channel 10 reporter. And this was after Larry Ellison had donated $10 million to the nonprofit Friends of Israeli Defense Forces, FIDF. And when he was asked why he believes support of Israel is important, he put his allegiances to Israel on full display. He said, quote, "The renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches all of us. For 2,000 years, we are a stateless people, and now we have a country of our own, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them who devote their lives for preserving the state of Israel, keeping the people safe, and allowing our state to continue. I've been to Israel. I've been to the border. I've spent time with people who govern the state of Israel, and I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people." And his $10 million gift to the IDF was not the last one. In 2017, he gave the largest donation to the IDF in their history with a $16.6 million gift. And according to Truth Out, the outlet Truth Out, it says Friends of the IDF is a nonprofit organization that raises tens of millions of dollars annually to fund a range of programs that effectively subsidize the Israeli military. So billionaires like Larry Ellison, they donate to Friends of the IDF. Arnold Schwarzenegger's donated. Lots of different celebrities have donated. And then that money